Hello and welcome to Clearing the Creative. This podcast is about the creative blocks that keep us from coming into our purpose and doing the things that we know we want to do. It was really a wonderful conversation talking to Stephanie. One of the things that we tackled was that struggle of writing the introduction, writing your bio. So many people that I talk to don't want to put themselves in a box. They don't want to label themselves. We talked about some strategies for overcoming that block and figuring out what's the thing in the way of that. I know this conversation is going to be meaningful to those of you out there that are also struggling with inner pushback and judgment and fear of others as we are changing, as we are growing and evolving and discovering who we are and what it is that we want to do and how we want to best put ourselves out there. So let's jump into it. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Katie. Thank you for having me.
We were just talking before we hit record about how it's so hard to give that dang bio. Who the heck am I? How do I package myself when I don't know and I don't want to put myself in a box? And that can just be one of the things that we talk about here, writing that dang bio and seeing what blocks are in the way of that. So yeah.
Yes, I'm so glad that you took with that, because you were asking me what are some of the things that stops me, and you said introduce yourself, and I was like, okay, I find that kind of hard, right? Because what do you say?
You know what? That actually strikes me as a strength right off the bat, that you know yourself well enough to you don't even have to search that far for your questions.
Well, that's the thing of being an overthinker. And it's funny because people will say, well, Stephanie, have you thought of this? And I'm like, dude, I've thought of it all. Don't worry. I'm always contemplating and evaluating. So when people will come at me with advice, or sometimes they come at you, sometimes they're helpful, but you know what I mean? They're unsolicited advice. I'm always like, yep, thank you. I know.
And I don't know. It's funny that comes up again because I had a conversation with Aubin and he talked about his analytical mind, that he is in kind of fight mode with that. And it's like, this is a situation of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, possibly. Once you move past a certain point, when you can start to reintegrate these old aspects of yourself back in and say, hey, an analytical mind isn't bad, just like you're a very highly sensitive person. And to recognize what's inherently really good and wonderful and powerful about that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, but it also is how your strength can also be a weakness and vice versa. And I find that one of the things I'm learning about mindfulness and meditation is they talk about just relaxing and letting go of what your brain wants, because we get in our own way, and it's our brain that starts thinking of all these scenarios and oh, well, what if this doesn't work? And it's like, well, dude, calm down.
Yeah, it's just working so hard to protect. But here's what we're gonna do now. Figure out, let's ask for some support out here. How to find out who you are in putting yourself out there and meeting new people and connections. How do you do that? I don't know why I did.
It helps you get in the mood.
It's like I wait for a kind of tingle in my head of if it's the right one.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a cool feeling. Like when I've picked a card, it's like, boom, that's the one. Like, whoa, okay. Usually it takes a minute, but let's go with this. All right. We got a fairy.
Fairies. Oh my goodness, Katie.
Yeah.
That's been coming up for me lately.
And let's see, going this way is kind of some old-fashioned Swedish ads.
Svartborn.
I picked it on for the color. I wasn't thinking ever. I never was thinking I'm going to use these to try to do magic. I only ever glued stuff together for the fun of it. And it's really interesting that that's happened now that, whoa, now I do actually get messages like, what?
Nice.
And the word natural. Oh, I see. The things that the Swedish ads are for laundry detergents.
Yeah, I love it.
The look on her face and the way her hand is outstretched, like she's so pretty. Like that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. When I was like I pick my clothes out and my jewelry and everything. I pick it out just thinking about the person I'm going to connect with. And the thing that I was just like connecting to you is just this beautiful feminine energy. Like I don't want to wear makeup because I don't like how it feels generally, but I was like, oh, if I had more time, I would put on a little bit of makeup, something really pretty, like just connecting to you and my feeling that you're just a really pretty person. Um,
I've always liked feminine things. I'm very girly and pink. But
yeah.
you know what, Katie, I haven't bothered with makeup for like 5 years because I just don't have the energy. It's, the people that are very creative, and I'm like, that I'm glad that that's fun for them. I wish I enjoyed it, but I
Mhm.
just,
But you
eh,
have, but it's the inner beauty that you
yeah.
have. She kind of seems to be like the hand out kind of seems to be like, look at what is true. Like she's sitting down and she's confident, and that feels like a confident sitting. Like I don't need to stand for you to come and see that what I have is true. She's got a bunch of roses around here. I don't know. Do you get anything out of this?
Yeah, she's just like when it's funny you put the word natural there because that is how it's like she's just exuding herself as herself. Like, is that the right word?
Yeah,
Exuding?
yeah.
Uh,
It's a what you see is what you get, and
yeah.
and it's okay if you don't accept it. Like you're a person who gets to see a friendly, otherworldly being. They're so blessed. Like and not to negate people's very negative, very scary experiences that nobody wants. Um, but when people have had positive encounters with the fair folk, what an honor that is. It's
It's so funny that that card was pulled because my friend Liz just 2 days ago, she messaged me and she goes, "Oh, I went to this one bookstore where they have, kind of uh, mystic stuff." And she's like, "I'm really into fairies." I was like, "Dude, I have a little fairy garden that I started years ago, and I
oh,
brought it out because it's been in boxes, and I don't put it in the garden because who knows what'll happen to it there. But I have these little situations where I've spent a lot of money on those miniatures, but it's summertime, so the fairies are out enjoying just the garden and stuff." And I sent her a picture of what my fairies are doing.
I love it.
So it's funny that fairy came up today.
How does that resonate with you? That whole here I am, take it or leave it. Um,
That really resonates. I know people keep telling me and encouraging me, just be yourself. And I am so much more myself than I ever have been. But still, there's this part of me that holds back because I'm scared of judgment, Katie, and shame because of my background. And in certain social media, like I think I'd feel more free. I said to my friend the other day, what if I started like TikTok where nobody knows me? Because sometimes if I post on Facebook, I got family and friends, people who knew me when I was little, and I'm not that little girl anymore. But I still there's that they might say, "Oh, who are you to do anything? I knew you back then," but that doesn't even mean anything because I'm different now,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But there's still that thing that holds me back from posting, or I'm scared for people to come at me, especially if I'm talking about something that's not specifically, you know, from the Bible. And I'm just like, dudes, it's okay. But I know that there are people who, and people have, you know, told me, and I'm just like, all right, I don't want to deal with this right now. So that
I,
stops
I
me.
want to pop in because I realize there is some significance to the laundry detergent. Is that that's like representative of all the cleaning, all of the hard work of dismantling and just washing out that old version. And it's behind you too. Like it's behind you. You're the fairy, you're the magical creature, and you're standing with all of this work behind you. And this is your offer to be natural, to be free and clean of the bondage, of the stink, of piousness and all that jazz. And to this fairy is waiting for people to just recognize the magic that they are for that right time. It's like, okay, you missed it. It wasn't for you. You didn't get it. You condemned it. You judged it. It's not for you.
Yeah,
What
that's
what kind of like buts pop up in your mind when you hear that? Like, but I can't do that.
mm, not really because I do know there's like I've worked through so much of the but I can't because I used to do that all the time when
Mm.
people would suggest things or I would see, oh, this was what I would like, but I can't. I'm not that person.
Oh, wait, wait,
Because
wait.
now I know, like I believe in manifestation and I believe in that we can do the things that we're truly meant to do. That's
Okay,
within us to do.
let me just scratch that then. Um,
Okay.
it's okay to be different people for different scenarios. It's okay to introduce yourself as I'm an author and a podcaster to the circles that you're in, to those circles, and to not like feel like, oh, but I wrote that book a long time ago, so do I really call myself an author or whatever? Or I'm not uploading a podcast every week, so am I really a podcaster? It's you've done it. You are it. Like Lisa and Valentine, like really encouraged me to own what I've done and to actually celebrate what I've done. Does that resonate with you?
Oh yeah. Like the other week I met so I'm on this app called Noon Vibe where people can do live talks and answer questions. And there's a guy on there that messaged me and he owns a publishing house. And so he saw that I wrote a children's book. So we had a chat. It was so great. Just talking with him. And he's like, oh, you could come join me live on X because I guess now you can do that on X, old Twitter. And he goes, I talk with other authors. And immediately I thought, oh, I'm not, who am I to do that? But I thought, no, he's inviting me. This would be fun to talk, right? Because I do start comparing. Oh, I wrote one book. Oh, these people are fancy. They're always writing. And I'm like, I haven't written for a while, but it doesn't mean anything. So it's, and yeah, I don't do my podcast regularly. I did, but it was just too much for me. And so now
Yeah.
I just do it when inspiration hits. And that's another thing though, Katie, that comes up is and I automatically get annoyed when the people are telling me what I have to do, And I'm like, why? Can't we just enjoy the thing? Can't we just put it out when we want to put it out? Like, and I battle a little bit with that because people are like, well, if you want to be monetizing, if you want to be taken seriously or whatever, you have to do it this way. And I don't know. Stop telling me what to do because it really pisses me off.
So,
And then that goes back to always being told what to do as a kid, right? And like
yeah.
never thinking I could think for myself.
Yeah. So, let's pull a card about that. Um, telling me what to do, um, letting me enjoy what I'm doing. Ha, that's kind of funny. It's old-fashioned computer, so there's like the work. There's
Yep.
there's a eyeball of a statue man, kind of the top left corner of a statue man. There's a roaring angry lion and a big question mark between the man and the lion. That's
Nice.
funny, isn't it? This is like the opinions of people. The man's eye looks kind of stern in the angry lions on the internet. Or are you the angry lion that's like, leave me alone?
It could be. That is so fitting. Yeah.
And the question, what
Cool.
the question is like, who are you gonna be? Who are you gonna turn to? The condemning eye? Because he looks really like squinty. He's got the lines on his
Edgy.
eyes too, so he's like kind of older, maybe. In the
And
in
that
the old, sorry,
that fits too, right?
yeah, in the old computer. I wonder if there's something about that it's not a new computer. It's old and retro.
Well, like there's coming a new awareness in the world, right? We're changing things up because you can just with so many people talking about vibrations and energy and mindfulness and like we're getting away from so much of the hustle, although it's still there, but people are really, really tired, right? And so those people who are on the leading edge, starting a new, like having a vision and starting something new that we need in this world, I feel like we're getting rid of the old. It's not working anymore. And we
Mm.
come to a point where the old is not working anymore. And we're at this point where it has to really hurt us for us to change things. And that's what I see happening. So when people are like, oh, the end of the world, people are, it's worse now. And I'm like, yeah, it's not the best right now. Like, whenever is the best time. But that's what things are going to change because
Mm.
that's what happens in our individual lives when we're at this breaking point or we're like things are going not the best for us. I'm not doing well. We have to do something different.
Yeah, I
So
love
I see that as like,
yeah, and
yeah,
this statue is not alive. You can look at it and you can feel, oh, he's disappointed in me, but it doesn't it's a pre-created model. It's and that's the way that it is for people with the people who've been born and bred in propaganda. They're just echoes of what they've been programmed to be. They're so there's the question. Are you going to let yourself just continue to serve them, or are you just going to be the lion that you are and usher in what's new? Oh gosh, I wrote down a quote that I heard that was like, this is relating so much to what me and you were talking about a few days ago or whenever we talked. Time is irrelevant. Okay, Stephanie, prepare yourself for a truth bomb. Like, do you need to drink some water first? Like,
yeah, maybe.
there's okay, here
Okay.
we go. Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner.
Yeah. It's true. Like it's such a prison in your mind and your body. Like you just feel so stuck and put in a box,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so much freeing to just be yourself.
Mm.
And one of the things that I've noticed, and when certain people like there's an actor and they're like, well, I wrote a book and I sing and I do all these things. And that's becoming more and more people are doing more and more, right? I think J-Lo was maybe one of the first where people are like, well, she's a singer, she's an actor, what is she, a dancer? But you are all of these things, and we can do different things.
Ah, and that
And
can be in
that
your bio thoughts. You can be more than one person. It's like how you have to
Yeah.
write a different resume, like cover letter or whatever, for each time you send in a job application towards that. Didn't mean to bring up that trauma for you, but isn't that how it goes, that you have to show that you're fitting for each job, even if the jobs are really different?
Yeah. I hate that, Katie.
Oh,
I
I
hate that.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
mean to bring that up.
no, it's okay. And it's so different than it used to be. Like this, applying for jobs now, it is not fun.
But I think that's a
And
whole can of worms. That's not what
that's a
we're
whole
here
can of
for.
worms.
Yeah.
But it's true because yeah, and you're not even yourself. That's what I get so frustrated with. I'm like, businesses, do you really want these robots or do you want people to be themselves? Because in order to get a job, you have to fit your resume and your cover letter and just put in the words from the application. I'm like, that's not a person being themselves.
So is that the thing that makes it hard for you to come up with a bio? Is that it feels like you have to be inauthentic?
I think also finding the right words. Like, okay, Facebook, you get so many characters, so you have to put something as specific and as clear as you can. And sometimes I just want to be very um like I just have phrases that I think are really neat, but it's like, well, what are you though? You know?
Mm.
Um, because you have to put what you are. And I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm different things. So it's I find it's just very restrictive.
Mm.
And even on LinkedIn, I'm like, okay, well, it's very professional. And I can be professional, but I like to have fun. So I'm like, can I have fun and be professional? You know what I mean? Like all of these things start going in my poof.
Mm.
Um, but then I get because I get too worried once again about what are other people doing, and I start to copy what other people are doing. Then I'm like, I'm not being me. So this is kind of a constant thing, but I'm also just realizing more and more that I can just be me. But it's still a hard thing, you know?
It seems to me that whenever you read that bio and it doesn't click anymore, just fix it
I'm
to
constantly fixing it.
yeah, this is who I am now. I'm
Yeah,
changing every day. I'm changing. I don't recognize who I was 2 months ago.
right. Like a year ago, I signed up to do an MLM and I was like, I did this post where I'm like, I'm starting something, and people are all excited for me, but and start a part of me doesn't want to put anything out there because I'm thinking, well, people will say, oh, I thought you were doing that. But then, well, I tried it wasn't me. I didn't align with it anymore. I thought I did, but then I grew a little bit and realized that wasn't for me, you know.
Do you
And so
share that in your journey? Do you share that in your posts? And
no, I'm a little afraid of MLMs are very controversial.
mm,
And I can see both sides. I That's also tricky for me because I see both sides of things. And so I think that gets me stuck because it's good because I can have nuance, right? But at the same time, I go back and forth times two.
do you have any interest in either, because you're looking at your options here, starting a new Facebook or unfriending or unfollowing, blocking from your page a considerable number of people so that you really can be free to be yourself?
I've thought of it. I actually did a new Facebook in 2021. Um, when I was starting, like I published my children's book because a lot of my stuff was about my podcast. And at that time I was deconstructing. So a lot of my posts were on like being angry. And so I talked with some marketers and they suggested, yeah, start fresh. But then other people were like, but that's your journey and you can share your growth even if you've had that account for so long. But I was afraid of things I'd said 15 years ago, you know?
Mm.
Um, but then it also shows your journey and how far you've come. So I'm thinking, but yeah, and I do unfollow and unfriend people. And then I start feeling a little bit bad because I'm like, why am I afraid of this? But sometimes we have to. Like I've had friends who are like, I never delete anyone off Facebook. And for them, maybe that's great. But for somebody like me, if I'm finding this really challenging and this person is just like, I can't deal, then it's best for me to let them go, right? So it's not a one size fits all.
No, no. It's just what practical steps can you take towards being free, feeling free to just be like, here I am. This is this is
Yeah.
this is where I'm at, and I want to find the people that are like me.
Hmm.
Because you
Yeah.
can't hide behind the excuses forever. It's just like being annoyed at the people stuck in the chaos of deconstruction for too long. Like, just because maybe a lot of the things that annoy us the most is that because we recognize it in ourselves and we're like, stop mirroring me back to me, you jerk.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, the excuses are they get old and they get just like a soggy old mold blanket that's just getting moldy, you know? It's like either throw it away or put it in the washing machine. Ah, washing machine powder. I just held up the
Yeah.
and for you Spotify listeners. What about the feeling of the lack of authenticity with connecting with people? What's something practical towards that mindset or that a actual action, not just a mindset thought? How can you switch that story?
Of being more authentic.
Yeah.
The things that stopped me generally was the pushback or the backlash if
Mm,
you put anything out. But I find that actually a lot easier, and I'm actually going to find it fun when people start doing that a little bit. Depends. Some days I'm just like, I can't deal with this. And other days I'm more,
bring it on.
yeah, right. Like I'm still back and forth with that,
The
depending on
lion.
my energy. But knowing now how to respond, because I used to get so afraid of people, I would just like revert back to like, you're right, because everyone else was right and I was wrong. That's how I always viewed myself. But now I have more understanding and I can express myself better. It might take me a little bit of time, but responding to people in a way where I'm not apologizing for anything I'm putting out,
Hmm.
but at the same time I can still be kind, because there was a time in my life also where I would get defensive and it came out as like aggression, and then
Mm.
I didn't know why people were mad at me. When you start putting the pieces together of like, oh, that's why people reacted.
I just remembered another person that we have in common, Jeff. That was a pastor, of online queer pastor. He has a rule that would maybe be useful to take on for yourself. Um, he will only respond twice. He'll once their answer and then his answer again, and then he's done. He's not going to give any more energy, any more any more gasoline to the fire.
Yeah, that's good.
Statement,
That's
a clarifying statement, finished. And
yeah.
like, yeah, we don't need to give all of our energy away.
Mhm. And sometimes no answer is an answer.
Oh
And
yeah.
there are
Yeah.
times where people will message me or say something. I'm just like, all right.
Mm,
There's no point in putting out, especially if you know that there's not a really a conversation, if they're not asking questions, if they're like just wanting to tell you, you just know there's no point in wasting my energy on this.
mm.
So, all right, wish you well. Goodbye.
Let's do something. Let's pretend like we're just starting the podcast. And I'm saying, okay, Stephanie, I'd love for you to give a short introduction of yourself.
All right. I'm Stephanie Ann Webb. I am a writer, podcaster, speaker, and coach. And I am working on all of these businesses. I'm actually, I had another idea for a second children's book that I'm working on. Um, and what are my passions? I have a few passions, but one of them is really helping people find, like coming from a black and white thinking background. I want to help people find nuance. I want to help them understand that they don't have to be stuck in their mindset, right? And also to be able to find healthy communication, understand where other people are coming from as well. Um, that's those are the things that I get really excited about, and helping people find the empowerment within themselves too, and encourage people, because that is what helped me. The shame, when you start shaming people, it just makes people want to get angry or just collapse. I know that for me was always, I would just be like, oh, right. But when you encourage and you give love to people and you can see the things in them that they might not see for themselves, you can see their potential.
Mm.
That's really exciting,
That's
because
really,
that's what
really
helped
great.
me.
Yes. I interrupted you there because it was getting a little bit long-winded. You got to work on your elevator pitch a little bit.
Yeah, see, I can go on.
It's supposed to be the elevator pitches. You can say it in the time it takes to go up the elevator together, you know?
But how's the building?
What?
How tall is the building?
I don't know, but listen, a thing really struck me as you were talking there. Come closer, come closer. Stop saying you don't know who you are.
Right.
You do. And that was a great introduction. Yeah, a little long, but but because it was, I think if
Well,
you,
see, putting that into how many words is like, but yeah.
yeah, no, I'm just teasing you, but you
I
know
know.
who you are, you know your gifts, you know people that you have the knowledge to help from your not just your experience, lived through experience, but your experience in cleaning off all the all the gunk.
Hmm.
You are capable, you have a genuine thing to offer, you are a coach. Even if you've never actually coached someone, if that's a passion that you have, you're that. I'm a
Yeah.
writer. I don't have any books published. I have a couple of poems published in a high school book, but I'm still a writer. I've
Hmm.
never made any money from my own vlogging or podcasting, but I'm still a vlogger and podcaster.
Hmm.
We set the parameters of what's real or not, and we get to choose who we are, and people can take it or leave it.
Exactly. Oh, this was wonderful, Katie. I'm always encouraged after speaking with you, and yeah,
That's
you're
awesome.
you're you have so much light and love to give, and I really appreciate you and all that you're doing, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So do you feel inspired and encouraged practically and
I do. You started my day off well, you know. Um, it's funny because when you wake up in the morning and we start automatically thinking of the past, like, oh, I felt like this yesterday, and it can creep into our day today. But that's why it's so important to realize that, like, the awareness is the first thing, right?
mm,
And then if you do meditation or just start going, nope, this is not me today. And that's what I'm really working on right now, because I can wake up and go, oh, no, Stephanie, doesn't mean that this is today, right? So
yeah, you could have, do the post-it notes thing? Do you have post-it notes and you can just put them up where you see them by your desk or whatever, and be like, who am I today? Um,
I tend to type them up into like posters and print them
ooh,
out.
nice.
I go crazy if I have too many post-it notes, but
Well,
I'll
whatever you prefer, of
yeah,
just reminding yourself that you are a lion, you are magical, who you are, reminding yourself who you are. Yeah.
yeah.
I can take pictures of these and you can print these out and put them up if you want.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being willing to share about your insecurities and everything and being honest. And You know how I end my conversations? I give hugs. Hugs.
It's actually good for what, scapular or something?
Is it?
There's like a qigong movement where you do that, and it's like good for something.
All right. All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Bye. If this gave you some encouragement, if this helped you with your block of writing your bio, please let me know. And if you would like to connect with me and see how I can support you in your specific block, let's connect and make that happen.